Welcome back to CivilNet. I'm Audrey, and today we have joined with us Samantha Adalia, the first foreign valedictorian of AUA, who graduated last year. As of right now, she is planning on applying to a master's degree to graduate school. Thank you so much for joining us, Samantha. How are you today?
Yes, thanks so much for having me, Audrey, and I'm doing fine today.
Oh, good, good, good. So let's dive in. Can I ask you about your Filipino background and how long you've been living in Yerevan?
I was born in Manila and in the capital of the Philippines, and I grew up there till I was 10 years old, and my family moved to Nepal from 2011 to 2016 and then moved here to Armenia the next year during March. And my parents are both Filipino, and I have two other siblings here.
Oh, I see. So what prompted your family's move to Yerevan?
Yeah, so in 2016, we were invited by a group of Filipino friends who were already living here and just for a holiday. And they had the idea to start a tour company here. So when we moved here, they also began that tour company. And that's why my siblings and I also followed after, because life here was quite better than in Nepal, where it was like really third world, and Armenia was more family friendly. And the tour company, which is called Vochner, which is a portmanteau of two Armenian words, Voch Sahmaner, no borders and no limits. So we decided to like bring in tourists from outside, from different countries to Armenia.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. So the tourism industry is like really what brought you here.
Yeah.
I see. Can you tell me more about like with how long you've lived here? Do you consider yourself a Filipino Armenian? Would you say that some of the other Filipinos in your community would call themselves Filipino Armenian?
I think personally, I wouldn't say yet that I'm a Filipino Armenian because I grew up in the Philippines and my identity, I really put it back there. But in Nepal and in here, I've considered them as my second home. And in Armenia, I say like Sertov Hayem, which means like my heart is Armenian. So I do consider myself as Armenian by heart by the time that I've lived here. And for the other Filipinos that I know like around my age who live here, I wouldn't say they consider themselves the same thing, like because they've also lived in other countries. But I think the Filipino identity is more like we claim it more, even if we live outside.
I see. So I want to talk about the work that you did at AUA and your position as last year's valedictorian and the first foreign valedictorian. What did you study while you were there?
I studied English and communications when I was there. Yeah.
And can you tell me more about the work you did on Armenian Diaspora?
So for my capstone, my thesis, I did a graphic novel about the young Armenian diaspora. And my question was, how was it like for those people? I interviewed 7 people from 7 different countries, like the US, Russia, Syria, and Uruguay, even Saipan, and someone who lived in Belgium. So I asked them, what was it like for you to move here to Armenia, and what were the challenges that you had, like maybe with the language, discrimination, and how also do you define Armenian identity as you moved here, and like also navigate between the two or more different cultures that you've had living outside. So I interviewed them and I put their stories into a graphic novel, which is, for now, I did a first volume because there are so many stories that they shared and that are worth hearing. And also my mission for that work was to facilitate like more reconciliation between the diaspora and the local Armenians, because I've heard from their stories like, oh, we don't feel like we fully belong here, or people think like I don't belong even to my own country because people here think there's so many differences that they have from Armenians who grew up here.
I see.
Yeah.
And can you relate to that as a diasporan of the Philippines?
Kind of, though not as great as a degree, to like maybe the alienation that they feel, because for us we've been colonized by 3 different countries in the Philippines, and I've felt like there's more compromise of our culture with other cultures. Well, the Armenian identity, I really admire them for how they preserve their culture, and maybe that's why it's hard to like have some compromises with the different cultures that come from outside. So I guess for me, I think just some of the small things, when I go back to the Philippines, it's small things in culture that make me feel different. Like, for example, inside jokes or slang that people have gotten there back home, and some few habits that I take over from Armenia, like saying "Parabses" when I go inside a store. I can't do that in the Philippines. So, yeah.
That's interesting. I see. Are there any other similarities or differences between Armenian culture and like the Filipino culture that you want to combine almost, or that you'd want to see implemented?
I love how both of, like when I came here, I didn't feel so much like it was so foreign, because the Armenians love family or family relationships, just like Filipinos, and they're very hospitable towards guests, just like Filipinos. And even the difference when you're invited to an Armenian house and you eat with them, like everyone sits so close to each other, and then the food is so tight with each other. And in the Philippines, like it's not as like close as that, but we both feel the closeness between other people. And I think the ways that I wish they would combine is like the Filipino love for fun, or like the way we do karaoke, and even just smile after we have a typhoon or a storm. And I think with the Armenians, I wish that we could both like have a more lighthearted atmosphere, like whatever struggle that we face. Yeah, because we have like similarly the economic situation is not good with like both of our countries. So I hope that we would have a more like joyful attitude or more resilient attitude towards things together.
And in talking about Armenia and the struggles that this country has faced, you had told me before that your family was here for the 2018 Velvet Revolution. Can you talk about that experience and how now you as a young adult, do you feel politically active? Do you feel like you have a valid voice, something to say?
Yeah, I was around like 17 at that time, and I didn't really participate in the marches there because, it's not my country, like really my country, but it was really cool to observe a historical event happening before me and to be on the streets when Sargsyan resigned and everyone was celebrating, and even seeing like Republic Square, a sea of people, and it made me more politically aware. And I was studying US government, comparative government as an elective that time, so it was interesting to see something happen before my eyes. Like I could be there and observe the people. And I think for like with being politically aware, it helped me to look for more ways to be like someone who's in there, who's understanding things out there. Yeah.
I see. And how about your experience as a foreigner in Armenia in general? I know that it's very homogeneous here, where everyone looks the same. Yeah. I feel I certainly get looks on the street saying like, oh, I don't know where she's from, or like, I don't know like where she. Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. So do you feel like that's gotten better as you've been here, learned the language? Like there's no full assimilation, you know?
Yeah, that's a good question, because it was one of the first culture shocks when I got here. Like the people would stare at me because I'm different and they don't see a lot of Asian people coming here. And at first I was like, oh, does that mean they don't want me here? But I made a lot of Armenian friends, and like they were really happy to have me here. And I realized, so it's just like people on the street. And as the years have gone by, I think I've gotten more used to it. Although lately there have been more people saying "Ni hao ma" to me, assuming I'm Chinese or my other Filipino friends, and it's a bit annoying. But like I know, because there's not a lot of Asian people here to differentiate. But I think that like assimilating here, like speaking Armenian is also really helpful. And I've been told like I have a good accent, so people think like, oh, like she's one of us if I speak in Armenian. And I also read and write, so that helps a lot to stay connected to the Armenians and also learn more about their culture, or like be part of their culture.
Now, would you say that you will probably settle down and stay in Yerevan, or at least in Armenia, for as far as you can see? Or
yes,
yes,
I really love the Armenian people, their history. I actually know more of their history than I know Filipino history and the literature as well. And I love the culture here and just life in general. It's quite laid back, and also like, I just want to absorb all of the culture. And of course, I've already been part of a community here for 7 years, so I'm really grateful for that. And also would love to help the Armenians more, maybe in tourism or in the media industries.
With recent political developments and with the Karabakh War, and also just the aftermath of losing so much, what is your attitude in being a foreigner who you wouldn't call yourself a Filipino Armenian, but you still feel and care for these people and you feel part of this community? What would you like to say to them?
Oh, well, being part of the AUA community, we lost 7 soldiers there, and one of them, he was my classmate. So I also honored him during my valedictorian speech, because I felt that even though I'm a Filipino, I'm not Armenian, but I'm still part of not just AUA, but Armenia in general. So learning about those losses, I really took it hard on myself, and also wept for those people, and like just being someone there to comfort my Armenian friends. And my family also were part of the Filipino community, helping out the Karabakh refugees and the soldiers. So because our tour company is connected to different hotels here, and one of them housed about more than 60 refugees, so women and children during the war. And the Filipino community were like, oh, let's do something for them. Let's like not just give donations of food and clothes, but also let's hold something for the kids, like an art classes. And when we delivered some of the relief goods to them, we even had this like small dance party, because there was a dance group from Artsakh who were part of the people there, and so we were able to do that. And they were telling us like most of the people coming by, the Armenians giving relief, they just leave the stuff and go, but you guys stayed and you were able to like give us a distraction, or like just to have fun even through this really difficult time. Because even during the art class, which my mom was hosting, like most of the people were drawing the Artsakh flag or the like We Are Our Mountain statue. So that was like really bittersweet. It was sad to see, and also I made friends among them, so I was really glad to know know the Karabakh community through them, and I'm still good friends with them now. And also we helped, we sent supplies to the soldiers like at AUA, YSU, and other universities. So the Filipino community, not just in Armenia, but also from abroad, were sending relief to the Armenians fighting in the front lines. So I was glad that, because in Nepal we were also there helping during the earthquake, so it in 2015, so it kind of felt like, oh, we're reliving the past days, but it also feels like really good to help like this country that, even though I look very different from them and I speak a different language from them, they welcomed me home here. So it felt like I was really grateful that we could help out in a small way and build relationships with the Karabakhtsis as well. So I'm just grateful for that.
Oh, of course, of course. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Samantha, and see you next time.